bringing you everything from the sensually sublime to the hardcore subjects guaranteed to make you cringe, blush, and maybe even toss your cookies. The National Organization for Sensual Safety presents new and safe ways to play inside the bedroom and out. Because if you don't know what you're doing, things can go terribly wrong. This is the only BDSM and kink safety show for people who never want their sexual exploration to end.
Hello again, and welcome to the show. Wow, do I have a treat for you tonight. I overheard this guy at a bar talking to his friend about how easy it was to get laid. And he agreed to come sit down over a hookah in my kitchen with me and share just how it's done. I know it's a break from our original type of material, but I couldn't resist. If you've ever tried to meet a guy or a girl in a strip club or a bar, you have got to hear this. This is for both ladies and guys to hear, and I would even suggest all strippers might want to sit down and be aware. Hear your typical male view on just how to get laid, how easy it is, and how easy women are. You can use this information at any bar, on any day, and these women are captured by males who do these particular things. And wait until you hear them. Ladies, this is for you to hear firsthand what the guys are out there doing to get you into bed. I would love to hear your comments on this podcast. I have many more to come, so sit back and enjoy the show. So you're talking about that in regards to dating a stripper is not all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, exactly. It's way more trouble than it's worth, you know what I mean, having done it now. But I wouldn't do it again, you know what I mean? I mean, unless I was bored and couldn't get laid or something in the real world. I could easily... At least you know when you go to a strip club, you know there's going to be women there, you know what I mean? Like, and if you play it right and you know the shift change, you get, you know what I mean? You go early in the day and you work on the ones that are going to get off at 8 because the shift change is usually at 8, you know? And, you know, those are the ones that are whatever. Those are the ones that are A, they're not working the rest of the night so they can go, you know what I mean? And B, they, you know what I mean? They're probably pissed they're not working the rest of the night because they want A, the money, and B, the attention. So you can at least give them the attention, you know? And yeah. But that's the same for any restaurant or bar. Being there at the shift change. Or being there actually 2 hours before the shift change and spending those 2 hours there because nobody else is there and you get to talk to whoever it is you want to talk to because they're bored. You know what I mean? Like,
And you find out.
Whatever you want to find out, you know? Your bartender, of course, is your best source of information. I always would go straight to the bartenders and be like, what's their story? They, you know, boyfriend taken, you know what I mean? It's like, that one's got a psycho husband, that one's got a psycho boyfriend, that one's got 2 psycho boyfriends. You know what I mean? Like, okay, this steer clear those, you know? And then, of course, the staff is always either wannabe strippers or ex-strippers, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? The waitresses and stuff in there, they're even easier than the actual strippers. That's actually...
Why are they easier?
Well, because they aren't getting the attention that the strippers are getting, and they, of course, are jealous and want it. You know what I mean? It's this typical catty thing that all you women have. You're just playing that. You know what I mean? So, of course, you give them the attention that a stripper would otherwise be getting.
So what kind of attention do you give the women behind the bar that a stripper would otherwise be getting?
Just attention. Just talk to her like a human being. You know?
And that gets you laid.
And especially being empathetic about whatever's going on. You know what I mean? Like, pay attention to whatever's going on in back there. So, like, if there's some, you know, inevitably one of the strippers is going to, you know, one of the other, like, shot girls or waitresses are going to piss off the bartender in some way. You know what I mean? Always. And so you can instantly build empathy then, you know what I mean? Because as soon as that one walks away, you can say something to the bartender about her being a whatever, you know what I mean, whatever it is. And you can also go around to that stripper and say the opposite, you know what I mean? Wasn't that bartender a bitch? You know what I mean? Like, so you can play both sides of the coin, of course.
So you're just empathizing with the woman.
You're empathizing on the situation, on both parties, and you're totally disingenuous on both, of course. But but that's the point. It's false empathy. You're faking empathy. But I don't know. Maybe some people really are feeling it. But
You were always what?
Goal-oriented. So it was never about...
Goal-oriented to get laid. Would you say everybody in the bar is pretty much like that? Like
well,
most
of
guys?
course. Of course. Absolutely. Primary directive, numero uno. Number 1 through 10.
So, you made a comment at the bar that you can smell a woman's baggage from a mile away. What does that mean? How can you do that?
Every woman has some physical thing that they don't like about themselves, whatever it is. Even Christy Brinkley and whatever. So whatever that is, whatever her in her mind, her biggest flaw is, and it's not necessarily a flaw at all. Of course, like for you, I'm trying to think of for you exactly.
That's okay. We don't need to worry about my flaws.
Yeah, we can skip that. But no, whatever
how do you know what a woman's flaw is?
Well, she's always going to protect it physically. They're always going to make some sort of a movement of, like shielding or, if she doesn't like her ass, she's not going to show her ass a lot. You know what I mean? She's always going to be trying to show her front, or you know what I mean? Or when she shows her ass, she's going to spin around faster. You know what I mean? Like, or you know what I mean? Whatever. Or if it doesn't have to be ass. It could be a fucking hangnail or something. It could be anything. But whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like, she's going to protect that, and. I dated one that had a bunch of scars on her. You know what I mean? So she would always try to kind of maneuver, and she would always have stuff. Of course, they wear almost nothing, so they can't really hide the scars. But she was, you know what I mean? Like, so.
Well, this applies not just to strippers, to women everywhere.
Yeah,
they always do that, and you're looking for. So
you're just looking for whatever it is that she is being protective of, whatever she's shielding, whatever she's, you know what I mean? Like. Like if she's flustering, like playing with her hair, or shifting her bra strap, or shifting a skirt, or something that, you know what I mean. Then like if she's shifting her skirt, it's because she feels self-conscious about her weight, about her stomach. You know what I mean? Like.
Well, but every woman adjusts herself.
Okay, once is an adjustment, but consistently doing it is a tick.
Okay, so you pick up on those things, yes. And then what?
Well, and then you would say something, you would flip it around. You know what I mean? Like if she was adjusting her dress and everything, you would say exactly the opposite of whatever it is. You would say, "Wow, that dress looks really great on you. You look really thin. Makes you look really thin." Whatever. The exact opposite of whatever it is that she's fighting in her own mind. You know what I mean?
So like that's kind of what you meant when you said when you compliment her biggest flaw, that you got her.
Of course.
You think women are that gullible?
I know they are. Absolutely. It's not just women. Humans, really. It's almost anybody. But sure. Think about it. If somebody comes and says, I love your 11th toe, you know what I mean? And really is into your 11th toe and really loves it, you're gonna be endeared to that person, even if you hate your 11th toe. Especially if you hate your 11th toe, So
if you tell me that you love my nose, and I've always been self-conscious about my nose, and I know it's not my best quality, then...
Well, in that particular case, I actually do like your nose, so I don't know why you think it's a bad nose. It's really not. But, okay.
So how does a woman ever know if a guy is sincere?
You don't. How do we ever know if you're sincere?
I think women in general are. I don't think we are calculating how we're going to get you into bed and trying to compliment your biggest flaw. I don't think that would necessarily work with a guy. Do you?
I think so, to some degree, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, maybe not as like clockwork like it does with women, but I think it works pretty well with a lot of men. I mean, maybe not every guy, but...
Well, you said everything that you do is just to see how you want to... Let's see, the exact thing was, everything I do is because I want to see how I can play with your junk.
Mm-hmm.
So... complete insincerity from most guys at a bar when they're talking to women. Do you think all guys are calculated like you?
I don't know. The ones who get it done. I mean, you get... I don't know.
So women that want attention, or do you think all women want attention?
Of course.
And it's the easy mark, is just to give them attention.
Everyone wants... I mean, there's very few total, really hard screws that, don't want attention. Very few. And who wants to mess with them anyway? So, but everybody else wants some level of attention, if not a high level of it. And, that's all anybody's really looking for, is attention. In some way, shape, or form. Somebody to listen to their dumb stories. Somebody, you know what I mean? Somebody to give a shit about their whatever, and, whatever. All that, Typical day-to-day crap.
So hard screws, would that be like the badass ones that you said they're easy?
No, I mean, that was kind of just different. The hard screws are like... the 1% you don't even want to mess with anyway. But no, the badass ones is just a different kind of attitude,
Okay, so a badass woman, what would you do to get in good with her?
Oh, well, the badass women
because they think they're better than everyone else, you said, when you're...
Of course. A badass woman is always going to have an air of superiority. However, that air of superiority is fueled by a sense of insecurity. So it's really just a cover, you know what I mean? So they're probably the most insecure, and therefore even easier, because all you have to do is play on that insecurity.
Well, how do you define a badass woman? What's a badass woman?
You know, a badass attitude. You know, the girl that has tattoos, or the girl that's talking shit all the time, or the girl that's, you know what I mean, dancing on the bar, or the girl, whatever, the girl that's got some kind of a badass attitude, or outgoing even attitude, not a completely, whatever.
So you just make fun of people with them?
Sure.
Point other people's stuff out?
Sure. I mean, again, you're just going back to empathizing with whatever their kind of thing is. And in their case, of course, it's always harping on other people, and, because they're kind of bullies, basically. Much like bullies. Bullies are always the ones that have the insecurity issues, too. And it's exactly the same thing,
So you just become a bully with them, and in doing so you're empathizing and getting in good with her, and you will probably get laid.
Yeah. And, and it could even... the bullies, of course, need to be bullied, too. So the badass ones are always the ones that need to be dominated, even though they probably come across the other way to the uninitiated. They're actually the most submissive, because they're hiding, because they're faking it the whole time. You know what I mean?
So you don't think any woman could be like dancing on a bar and just be completely secure and confident, and that's who she is?
Sure. Absolutely. Maybe that was a bad example. I'm just saying, whatever, some kind of a more badass kind of an attitude. You know what I mean by badass attitude? Like the... Oh, God. Remember the show way back in the day? What was it called? The Facts of Life. Remember that show?
Yeah.
Remember Jo, the chick that rode the motorcycle?
Mm-hmm.
that is what I'm talking about.